Hey everyone, and welcome to Get Celebritized. As you know, I'm your host, Aurea McGarry, and I come here to you every single week to help you earn more so you can live more, live a big, vivacious, juicy legacy life so that you can give more. Give back to the people, the places, the causes that matter most to you. And today, I could not be any more excited to bring you two very special people, a wonderful couple that is absolutely precious, that really embody living a full life. And I'm going to introduce them to you right now. And we're going to do ladies first, of course. The beautiful, the fabulous Amanda Robbins. She is CEO and co-founder of Performance Coach University. She's a former photographer. She's an amazing marketing expert. I added that because I've seen her in action. She's a wonderful wife, mother, philanthropist, humanitarian, healthy living enthusiast, and she got married in Fiji and had the best photograph underwater in full wedding attire. Just a must-see. And speaking of wedding, her handsome, fabulous, outstanding husband is with her today as well, Jairek Robbins. He may sound familiar to you because he is very well known. He is a best-selling author of Live It. Perfect theme for today. He too is co-founder with his wife of Performance Coach University. He's the president and chief strategy officer of Success Enterprises. Yes, that includes the famous Success magazine that's been in business over 126 years. He's a TEDx speaker, a simple formula to inspire the world to live their dreams. He's a philanthropist, a humanitarian, also a healthy living enthusiast, an amazing husband and father. The list goes on. Let me bring you up right now, Jairek and Amanda. Welcome to the show. Let's get you up here.
Thank you. Thank you. What a beautiful intro. That was so sweet.
Thank you for the intro. Just a small adjustment. I was the former president and chief strategy officer. I didn't want to misstate that for anybody. I wrapped that project up after a year and a half of them.
And you did a great job with them.
It was wonderful. We grew it by 300%, which we're very proud of. And we put the right foundation in place to get them moving in the right direction, which was great.
I love that, Jairek, and thank you I'm always open too. So my notes are a little out of date. That's perfectly fine. And I love when I saw you and your family, all three of you, Amanda and your beautiful son, were on the cover of Success magazine. And it's a great company, and they're very smart to bring you on. And I like that you took something on, worked the season, and then moved on, because we're going to talk a little bit about some good decision making for entrepreneurs today. So thank you for bringing that up. Before we go any further, I just want to do a little fun throwback for a moment, because I want to find out what you all are doing today to help people. But I've got to swing this back a little bit. You were both here at this moment of this picture. Do you remember this? There's a picture of you and me, Jairek. Amanda, you were in that room in New York City. And during this time, you were doing, Jairek, that exercise with the arrow and the throat. You spent this entire weekend with just about 25 of us in the room. Amanda, you were magnificent teaching on marketing. Talk to us a little bit about how far you've come since then. You all were just dating, but I remember you were inspiring us all, the power of positive thinking, the power of what you can do when you believe it, when you have confidence. And at the end of it, you made us take that arrow to our throat and lean in. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Love, go ahead.
Well, I mean, it was your event. I was just supporting him. And I mean, what I have to say about that event, one, it was such a beautiful event. Meeting you, Jessica Ortner was there.
Tom Martin was there.
It was such a, it was a pretty intimate setting, but it was such a beautiful group of people that wanted to tap into the best of who they are, their potential, and just have what Jairek tends to do is he has this way. It's like his energy or beingness is so attractive to people with really big hearts to come in. I think it's such a reflection of who he is, right? And so one thing, just looking back on that, I was pretty new to this world of personal development, but he was born and raised into it. And it's just so beautiful to look back on that and think about how he was sharing his gift then. And now that was probably 10 or 12 years ago.
Yeah.
And how he continues to be a student of this work and a teacher of this work. And he delivers so much wisdom and gift. And I think that one thing that really, that I want to share with other people that might be in a relationship with, well, anyone, but also someone that has this gift, or whatever their gift may be, which is allowing them to share it as much and as far and as wide as they can. And I know that there would be times where, you know, he'd have like a lineup of people wanting to talk to him after events. And that can sometimes feel hard if you're in that relationship. You're like, I miss you. I want to connect with you. And like you know, and one thing that I really leaned into, and I just love, so the memory that comes up with that is just, there's Jairek sharing his gift along with other big-hearted people like yourself sharing your gifts. And if you're in a supportive role in a relationship and they're kind of like the face of something, or, you know, whether it's building a company or building a brand, how can you really lean into allowing them to share that gift as far and as wide and as loud as they possibly can? And I just really love being in that role for him. And it's something that I continue to lean into. And he's been so sweet too at events. Sometimes he's like, are you hungry? Do you need me? Like, I can leave this all right now. And I'm like, no, keep sharing your gift. Like, this lineup is like for you to share your gift. And the way he's touched people in the lives he's impacted, I couldn't be more proud of him, not only to do this work with him, but spend life with him and just love him every single day. So yeah, that's what comes up for me.
I love that. How about you, Jairek? You've come a long way since then. And I've seen you guys as also, I love your relationship together and this beautiful partnership you have. And when you gave her the microphone just now, you said, my love. I mean, Jairek, we just love you. This is wonderful.
He's easy to love.
I think from that event, we've obviously come a long ways. That was a fun moment in time where we were excited to go reach people all over the world. And I can't remember if it was that year or the year before or after, but we had done, I think, events in Australia, the UK, Europe, all over the US, Canada. Like, we were all over the place. We were having a ton of fun just sharing with people. And we met all kinds of people in every walk of life and situation in every city we went to. And the real goal was just leaning in and listening and learning, what are people going through here? What is it that they're trying to figure out? What is it that they're working on? What are they wanting to accomplish? And what was fun is no matter where we went, there was something we could offer. And that's always been a personal goal of mine in life, is have we gathered the tools that when we cross paths with someone whose business or life is on the line or in a big moment, we have something to offer them. We have something of value and use to give them that'll help them figure out whatever it is they're working on. Mm-hmm. And so we were able to do that, which I was really, really proud of that. And I mean, since then, it's pretty epic. We now have clients in 133 plus countries around the world actively learning with us. We've trained some of the top coaches on earth, which is a ton of fun. Amanda leads that program, and she has people learning in there with her from the NHL, NFL, Major League Baseball, Deloitte Consulting, McKinsey. We've had everyone between Johnson & Johnson, the United Airlines reach out to us for help. And I'm really proud of her. She leads that program, and she does an incredible job at making sure that they're extremely well equipped as managers, as leaders, as coaches to go make that difference. And I think back then it was us working to be the ones out doing the work. And now we've had the ability to train hundreds of coaches and send them out into the world to do the work. And I think back then we used to rate how successful we were based on our clients' testimonials. And now we get to smile and watch when the coaches we've trained get those same testimonials of the work they're doing with others. So it's a fun secondary ripple at this point, which is a ton of fun and we're really, really proud of.
Yeah, and as you should be, you've come a long way. And let's talk to some of the entrepreneurs that are watching now that aspire to be further along 5 and 10 years from now. And unfortunately, so many, get stuck and they're not where they thought they'd be, or they haven't grown or haven't scaled, and they're still running in that working hard harder than needed 5-10 years, and throw into the mix the pandemic, and so many had to pivot and recreate and reinvent. So talk to us a little about maybe some lessons you've learned where you can help the community grow well now in this new day and age to be further along like you all have. What's some of your best lessons learned and mistakes they should avoid in this 2024 climate?
I'll start with this one. So for me, I was passionate about coaching, about helping people, about making a difference, about doing events, about reaching others, about all the stuff, all the art, the fun of it, the magic, where it's like I could be doing the work with people. And what I avoided like the plague back then was the business of business. Mostly because I didn't understand it. Yeah. I was giving an interview yesterday, and I was like, they asked me what's something that you learned along the way that made the biggest difference. And I said, one, I found a mentor who really understood what they were doing, and we've worked with him for the last probably 9 years. And the thing he got me to fall in love with, that when I was a kid I hated, was math and specific business finances.
Have you fallen in love with that?
I have. If you saw my screens, I have 4 different P&Ls that I'm building out and doing future projections on 3 different companies I'm looking at right now. Wow. And so now I really enjoy it. But when I was a kid, I used to hide my math homework behind the couch because I didn't understand it and I didn't want to try to figure it out. I loved people. I didn't like math. And truthfully, I didn't like it because I wasn't good at it. Mm-hmm. And so I think it was about maybe 9 or 10 years ago, I sat down, and it might have been that year, to be honest, where we did more events around the world than we'd ever done before. We made more revenue than we'd ever done before. And I remember we went and sat down with our accountant at the end of the year, and he looked at me and he says, you would have made more money if you would have just worked at McDonald's for the year.
What an eye-opener.
And I said, excuse me? And he says, yeah. How do you think you did? I said, we did amazing. We did events all over the world. We reached thousands of people. We made more revenue than we've ever made ever. McDonald's, what a joke. Look at the numbers. They're incredible. They're the best I've ever done. And he looked at it and he says, you don't understand what this sheet means, do you? And he wasn't being rude or mean. His name was Steve. He was a great guy. And then I had a moment where we were buying a house, and we called Steve and we're like, Steve, we're buying a house. What do you think? What mortgage will we qualify for? And he went, oh, yeah, no, no, that's not going to work at all. Wow. And we looked at each other like, what? I mean, we were making 6 figures, multiple 6 figures. Like, we had more than enough money. And I didn't know the difference between revenue versus cost of goods sold versus expenses versus net profit. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know the difference between net profit being held in accounts receivable versus actual cash collected. I didn't know any of that stuff. All I knew is, hey, when I looked at how much, credit cards were charged and how much money we made, it was a lot.
Right. But it costs a lot to do that. Yeah.
It was crazy. At the end of the year, I was negative $30,000 as a business, which means I spent $30,000 more than I made. Mm-hmm. And what's wild is if you're a solopreneur, mompreneur, dadpreneur, or building an empire, it doesn't matter. You could make $100 billion in a year. And if you spend $110 billion, you're negative 10.
Exactly.
And people like to brag about that top line.
Yeah.
And the truth is, it doesn't really matter if we can't see what's in between and what's left over and how much of that is cash versus just accounts receivable. And so what's wild is, I'll throw this in there and pass the talking stick over to my wife. She is actually a wizard at this stuff.
Where were you that year, Amanda?
This is like when we met, and I remember thinking like, oh no!
Just met him. I know you guys are just dating.
No.
That year I met you.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I mean, that's one of the gifts that we really brought together. Was I came with quite a business background, and he was very heavy into personal development and human psychology. And one of the greatest gifts was we really like complemented each other. We had the strengths that each other needed, or I would say not even that. It's not that we needed those strengths. It's that we sharpen those strengths for each other. Like I naturally was into personal development, but not because I'd taken courses. It's because I was doing my own internal work always. And he was running a business, not because he studied business, but because he was just figuring it out. And so like we both had practice and experience, but we really kind of sharpened each other. And one thing that's really beautiful is I've almost gone even more into personal development. He's gone even more into business. And so what's really funny is sometimes the conversations will be like, oh, I just discovered this new thing. Or like, did you know this? And then he's like, yeah, I've learned that when I was like 15. And I'm like, the same thing for me, where the other day he was like, do you know what LIFO and FIFO are? And I was like, give me a second. Yeah, last in, first out, first in, first out. It's a way to do supply chain management or inventory. And he was like, yeah. And then actually one thing that's really funny, I love this so much. One thing I just love about Jairek is we share this, but I really admire in him so much. He's always learning and growing, always a student, to a point where we have to kind of like go, okay, let's like make sure we're taking what we've learned and truly applying it and not just becoming like, full of it, but not putting it to use. And so one thing I love, I remember when we were, we did a class at Harvard, and he wanted to learn more accounting. And I was like, I've done so much accounting. Like, I'm good, but I'll do it to support you.
Hold on.
Or postpartum?
There's an intro piece here, and then I'll pass it back. This is really important. Okay. So I was looking for more fun things we could do at night together.
This is a what not to do. Yeah.
I was looking for more fun things we could do at night together. We both love to learn. We both love growing in classes and courses. And I was like, what if we sign up for a class together that we could both do together? And then we're spending time together. We're both learning. We're both growing. It'll be so romantic and fun. And was Koa here? We'll put our.
He must have been here because we were really wanting to carve out time together.
So there's this 8 p.m. little window.
About that. Yeah.
So we're going to put him to bed at 7, and from 7 to 8 p.m. every night, we're just going to do this class together. It'll be so like fun and nerdy and romantic. And accounting at Harvard is not a date-worthy course, we found out.
Yeah, so we definitely learned like that is what not to do. Like if you're trying to carve out more time with your significant other and you're both in business.
Don't sign up for accounting at Harvard.
Accounting at Harvard would not be my first choice. But I know you guys love to learn. You're vivacious readers, and I love that school is never out for the pro, and you all live by that as well. And we should keep learning. I love that. But I wouldn't think that was a great date night.
No, hold on. Keep going, love. What was the rest of it? I cut you off. I had to set the scene of why we were taking an accounting class at 7 p.m. every night together.
Well, to be fair, I mean, I was too exhausted to go do pretty much anything, but it was really funny. So we do this course, and this is how we got through it. And we passed, but I was like falling asleep during the class. I was so tired. And Jairek would like be watching it, and he'd wake me up, and we'd be taking an exam. And he'd go, help me with this question. I'd be like, okay, it's D. Yes, it's D. And then he'd get it. This is literally how we got through class. He's learning it. I'm sleeping through it, but I have experience in it. And together we pass, not because I'm waking up, but because together, like he's actively in it, and I'm pulling from like what I learned before. It was, I don't know if that's funny to you, but I still laugh about it to this day, because alone we would have really struggled. Together, we struggled together, but we passed.
No, she would double check it. I'd sit there for 5 minutes doing an equation, and I'd be minusing and plussing and adding and reverse engineering the numbers. And I'm like, I swear I got this one right. And then I'd nudge her, and she'd be like, huh?
It's D.
And I was like, well, look, here's the equation. Here's the thing. And she's like, honey, it's D.
I love that.
And I'd just look at her and be like, you know how hard that was for my brain to figure out? And you just like magically knew it. That was amazing. So I say she's a wizard at this stuff. She's really, really good. I don't think it's necessarily just born innate talent, but she put in the effort, she put in the time, she put in the work to really dial it in, and she's epic at it. It's really cool.
You. So hold on, there's something I want to share that you're really teeing me up for. this, like, if there's something to take away from here for entrepreneurs, and the question was like, they're working so hard. The thing that there's really two things, like knowing your strengths, like of you, your partner, or your team, and really allowing those to shine and to leverage them, one. And two, doing things that might be outside of your comfort zone. I can say when Jairek and I have only done what we know and doing it the way we know how to do it versus stepping outside of our comfort zone and pushing ourselves to, and where did this come from? This came from hiring a mentor and a coach to look at us and call us on our stuff and be like, yo, this is your soft spot in your business. You're crushing this area, this area, this area, and this area. You want to tighten it up? You need to get better at a more specific strategy. You need to optimize your sales process. You need to do all of these things. Those are things that, frankly, I would say it was a little uncomfortable because we're like, but we're better at delivering, and we're better at client services, and we're better at, these coaching. But the truth is, if you're not evolving and getting the results that you want, it's likely you're just revolving around your same old default patterns and default thinking. And you need to really find a mentor or a coach or some training that's going to actually help you really develop in those spots that you need to develop as a business owner, as a business leader. And if you're not willing to learn that skill set yourself, like Jairek could easily, we're taking an accounting class. That doesn't mean we're doing our own accounting. It just means that we're better understanding the vitals of our business. That's a lot of people are like rolling their eyes, like, no, thank you, I'm good. But the truth is we need to fall in love with the things that we probably are running away from that actually are the needle movers in our business. And that's sometimes uncomfortable. But the invitation there is, you want to stay stagnant and keep revolving and getting the same results? Or are you ready to evolve and to grow and to push yourself in a little bit, but really like have fun with it, fall in love with it? And we have done that. Jairek finds so much joy in the numbers behind math because he's like, wait, this ratio tells me how efficient this company is running. Like, that's really cool. Like, he's so amped about it and it's so beautiful. And also, I'll say from like a spouse and a business partner, it's fun to share that joy with someone too. So I think like if you're not going to hire that person, find someone on the team, help coach them up, ramp them up, train them up, and share that joy with something that maybe wasn't your favorite thing before, but you find a way that it really adds value, or you align your values with it to get to your end goal, right? Is that helpful?
So helpful, so helpful. And what you all just said that started this conversation is so impactful. And I know it will really resonate with so many people, that when your accountant said for all that whole year, you loved it, you were busy, you were doing it. Do you know how many people I know doing that, and we all love what we do. I mean, I do that. We love what we do. We're speaking, we're on stages, we're doing all the things like, wow. And you're seeing, the cash registering, and somebody really just halts you and says, yeah, but you spent more than you earned, and you were willing to say, okay, something needs to change. So I know that's going to resonate with so many people. So can you tell us, how can they make that change? Maybe they don't have a supportive spouse, and maybe they feel alone. A lot of people I work with these days really feel alone. I work with a lot of single moms as well, and they really feel that overwhelm of, gosh, if I only had somebody that did know numbers, or how do I start? Or maybe I just never will understand numbers, but they need to know enough to know it needs to be done. Can you give us a little bit of insight on some steps they can take to move the needle and stop on that hamster wheel? Because you really hit the nail on the head with that.
Do you want to take this, or me?
Sure. So that was an issue we saw across the board, and I'm doing some analysis right now on a company we're looking at partnering with, investing in, or buying, and it's the same story. It's a passionate entrepreneur who believes in what they're doing, who loves and lives for the difference their product and service makes, who knows that it's valuable in the world, who has raving fan clients, who's done all this work. And we pull open the business and go, uh-oh. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, hey, do you have this sheet I need, or these numbers, or do you know this? And it's like, oh, well, hold on here. Let me download something from Shopify or let me see if my PayPal account has it. And this is very normal conversation for that solopreneur in that situation. I was in that situation. And so I had this person send me all their stuff. I threw it in a folder. I was able to aggregate it all into a sheet. I built out their current track record, and then I used some average ratios to build out, a future projections of where they're headed and how they're maintaining. And I was able to do all that in probably a couple hours. And I handed them back and I said, hey, does this look right? And now they're looking at actual data and they're like, wow, I did really good in 2017, 18, 19, huh? I was like, yeah, but now let's take the data. So I know exactly how their company's doing without them having to tell me anything, just because I understand how to read the vitals. Amanda said this earlier, which is really important. A friend of mine told me an analogy. He said, imagine feeling something funky in your chest with like your heart. Just feels tight, feels off, feels like it's skipping a beat or something. You don't know what it is. So you go to the doctor and you get to that doctor and they go, okay, they plug you into the machine and they put the thing on you and you hear all the beeps and they do the blood pressure and they slide you into the tunnel and they zap you and zing you. And at the end, the doctor comes out with this report and he looks at it and goes, wow. Holy. And you're sitting on the edge of your chair going, what? Is it okay? Is it working? And then he sets it down and goes, yeah, I don't know how to read that shit. Like, could you imagine? No. You'd be like, what do you mean you don't know how to read it? And he's like, well, I'm a doctor. I'm here to help people. I don't know what those numbers mean. I don't know. Well, is the heart getting better or worse, doctor? I don't know. Is it healthy compared to last month or last year? No clue. I mean, I don't know about you, but I wouldn't stick around with that doctor very long.
No.
The problem is that's how most of us are running our businesses.
Yeah.
You get handed the vital information and you look at it and go, wow, whoa. And then you sit down and go, I don't know what that means. Anyways, I'm just going to go sell more stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And so the problem is, and then I'll give it a second layer. There's some humans out there in the world that scream, if you just grow your sales, it'll fix everything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mean to tell you anything that you don't want to hear, but it won't. That's not necessarily the solution. There's ways to drive the business. And so I sat down and I noticed this was a trend. It was a pattern that most people were falling into. Absolutely. And I was like, okay, where's the solution for this? And I didn't really see one. And so, right now we went and took a course at Harvard. Then I'm in a course right now about private equity and buying businesses at Wharton. And my dad has this business event he does, which is great for the psychology and like the basic framework. But I wasn't finding anything that was like business school for entrepreneurs. I just wasn't finding it. And we finally ran across a mentor that we worked with. And he was it. He had it. He had business school for entrepreneurs. He was able to take the entrepreneurial people, plug them in the actual business, and show us how to become competent at the business of business. The result of that, just so you know, was our business grew 124% in the first 3 years by just attending, listening, and applying what we were learning. It didn't happen overnight. It happened over 3 years. Mm-hmm. But he did little stuff, like Amanda can talk about this in a moment, but he did little stuff like ask us, can you analyze your calendar? Look at everything on there. And can you come up with an assumption of how much you believe every single activity will actually move your business forward? And if you can't, if there's zero assumption of what that'll actually do for your business, I need you to remove it from your calendar. Just delete it. Get rid of it.
Wow.
And so what ended up happening was over that 3-year period of time, I was able to remove about 80% of the meetings and appointments and conversations off of my calendar. But somehow by reducing my calendar load by 80%, my business actually grew, or our business actually grew 124%. We were making more profit in a month than we were making in years.
Keyword is profit on that. Did you delegate a lot of that? Or did you just were you actually doing things that you didn't need to do? Or did you have to delegate those meetings? Do they still have to get
we were doing things we didn't need to do. We were being busy but not productive. And it was like, wow, 80% of it could get removed and it actually performs better. If you would have told me that in the beginning, I would have told you, if someone would have suggested that, I'd say they're insane. There's no way I can get rid of 80% of my meetings and my business is going to be better. Are you kidding? My business will die if I do that. I had to be at all these meetings. I had to be in all these interviews. I had to be in all these discussions.
Right.
I didn't. Absolutely didn't. And so Amanda's big on this. She's big at sitting down with business owners. She's an amazing business consultant. She'll sit down with business owners and talk to them and say, hey, are you just being busy or are you actually being productive? And let's figure out what the difference is.
Big difference. That's Amanda. Yeah, please take it away. This is such a soft spot for so many entrepreneurs. And I know some of the insights, Amanda, are, especially with the female entrepreneurs I work with, is I have to do it myself. One, I do it faster. It needs to be done. And it'll cost more money out of my family budget if I hire somebody to do that. So, Jairek, I like that you said 80% that didn't even have to be done. So, Amanda, continue this. Shine the light on this because it does make the difference whether these solopreneurs and entrepreneurs make it or don't make it and go back to making more at whatever the JOB could be.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, Jairek really covered a lot of it. The only thing to add to it is we tend to get so busy in checking a to-do list and task. And the critical thing is really figuring out, like, what is my major outcome that I'm trying to achieve? And then really making sure that everything on the calendar has an ROI tied to it in the way that it will help you achieve that outcome. And a lot of people choose not to measure or turn the other way because, again, we're operating in our comfort zone instead of doing the things that are less in our comfort zone. So, for example, let's just say you're starting your business and so you're the salesperson, right? And you don't have the means just yet to hire a salesperson, nor I wouldn't even recommend that being the first hire, by the way. A lot of people tend to start their business and then immediately outsource sales if that's out of their comfort zone. And they're like, I'm going to stick with the other stuff. And it tends to be they're doing the admin work, but not the sales part because that's what they're comfortable with, right? They're like, oh, I'm going to go post on social instead of, you know, whether it's making the calls, making the connections, or doing the follow-ups, as people say, fortune in the follow-up. That's so true. So I think a lot of it comes down to, again, being mindful of what are the things that we're defaulting to because it feels comfortable or it feels safe instead of doing the things that actually move the needle. That's a little bit psychology there. And it's also quite a bit of just being really smart. Not smart, but again, seeking the right mentorship or coach to make sure that they're able to give you that outside perspective, right? Because what we see is a lot of entrepreneurs, we all have blind spots, not just entrepreneurs. All people have blind spots. And so our goal with the business owners we coach is identifying the blind spots that they have that are actually holding them back from achieving their goals, right? And so a blind spot for a lot of people is, you know, like a lot of paper pushing. It's like, oh, if I just post on social all the time, and then they actually look back and they're on a hamster wheel instead of, you know, we're in such a digital age. The thing that actually is going to make you stick out from the crowd isn't posting more on digital. Like, that's great. Instagram loves that, but only 10% of your feed is ever seeing it versus getting in front of a crowd, going out there into the live world of people and being face to face. Like in our coaching community, for example, with MPCU, Performance Coach University, that's where we're seeing so many of our coaches are getting their clients because they're willing and able to do the thing that most aren't right now. And that's get in front of people, go to rooms, talk to people, go to meetings, where a lot of people, they're like, I'm just going to stick with social and posting on there. I'm going to do these silly TikTok videos and I don't know why it's not working, you know? And so I think that there's so much to unpack here, but I think the biggest takeaway truly is being so nuts about how you spend your time and looking at what are the things you're spending your time in actually going to move the needle. Instead of just, as an entrepreneur, there's going to be an endless list of things to do. Endless list. So we start there, right? Okay, if the list is endless, then let's, one, be mindful of what we're prioritizing. So that constant prioritization is really helpful. And if they are feeling stuck, I think, again, like reaching out to people that are in it with you, people that are, even if they're whether you're where you're at or they're a couple steps ahead, but just some other counsel to be able to look at, does this make sense, right? And I really would lean on people that have experience, because again, like it took a mentor for us to kind of see what we couldn't see before. We had such blind spots, and they were able to say, wait a second, what I'm seeing here is that this part of your business is the most scalable thing in your business, and you're completely focused on something that is not scalable, and it actually has a ceiling or a limit to how much you can deliver in that, right? Absolutely. Like if we only focused on, here's an example with Jairek, for example, like if we only focused on him speaking, there's only one Jairek Robbins, and there's only so many places he can be at one time. That's not the most scalable part of our business. You know, it's a nice part of our business, and he really delivers and serves in that capacity, and great things come from it. But what we needed to do in our business was shift to what are the things that are more scalable, where we can reach more people. And lo and behold, that scalable part also totally aligns with our mission and vision, which is making an impact and serving humanity. And now, instead of it being on me or Jairek only to serve, we have this force for good out in the world that we're training up to help people. So I think it's really allowing yourself to be within proximity to people that are able to see the things that you can't see yourself as a business owner. And you have to be willing, and that is probably the most important part, willing to change. So willing to change your thinking, your traditional thinking patterns, and willing to try new things, willing to look at your business from a different perspective and test things out and to see what really sticks from there, I think is another thing I'd add. But this is so, depending on the business, there's always something a little bit different for everyone. So I don't know that there's one size fits all, but if there was one takeaway, really being mindful with your time and where you're investing it is one of the greatest returns on investment, period. And also, I do want to go back just really quick, because I didn't fully finish that thought, which was a lot of people go to outsourcing their sales first. And unless you have an amazing salesperson that's actually absolutely delivering, which is like
rare,
diamond in a rough. Yeah. The first thing you ever want to outsource as a solopreneur or entrepreneur is the administration task. So like find an admin assistant or a VA to take off some of that busy work. Yeah. That's the first thing that's outsourced. One of the last things is actually sales, because if you have a product or service that you're delivering, it's likely you are going to be the best salesperson ever because you believe in it with your whole heart and soul. Yeah. And so you likely will be the best. So that was probably one of the last things to get rid of, but one of the first things that people often get off their plate. So they're doing it they're backwards, right? They're staying in the weeds when they should actually be getting a VA, and they should actually stick in the sales part. Even if they don't love it, they're going to be able to deliver the results. They're also going to be able to prove the process that works and then pass that along and train others up on that. But unless you have some LeBron James of sales, like don't let that be the first thing to go. We've been there and we've made that mistake. So that's coming also from experience and seeing, wow, the second you put us back in that seat of sales or enrollments or whatever it may be, we are so passionate about what we do and believe in it. And we can see that in others and how we can help and serve them, and identifying like the gap that we can help them bridge in their business or their life or whatever it is. So oftentimes it doesn't even mean that at this point in our business, sometimes we drop in just to like make sure that we're still able to support our team or sharpen our skill set there. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. You're right on the money too. And so many people rather die or pay taxes than speak, network, or God forbid, get on a sales call, God forbid, get on a follow-up call for the 5th, 6th, 8th time that it takes. So you're spot on. Right on.
There's a simple lesson in there, and it's if you step back in whatever industry you're in and whatever you focus on, just go ask 10 people, what's the thing that everyone in this industry thinks is the hardest thing to do? Ask them, what's the thing in this industry that everyone avoids like the plague? Yeah. What's the thing in this industry that no one wants to do?
Yeah.
What is the hardest, ugliest, most strenuous, the part that everyone runs from, the first thing they want to get out of in this industry, whatever that is, just write yourself a note. Say, if you become the best in the world at this, you'll dominate the industry.
Mm-hmm.
It's really simple. Find the thing everyone runs from and run towards it.
Wow, that's great.
And if you learn how to do that in whatever industry you're in, I'm looking at another industry right now of something we want to get into, and it was fun. I learned about something about a year and a half ago, and I was like, wow, I like this. I want to get into this. I want to own one of these. And you fast forward, and probably four months ago, we went and had a really bold conversation with someone. Everyone laughed at me, at least. I was going to say us, but it was mostly at me. I had family laugh at me. I had friends laugh at me. I had people in the business laugh at me. I had the gentleman that owned the business laugh at me when I asked him to own a piece. And then a couple of days after getting laughed at by everybody, I got a call and said, if you'd like to own a piece, here's what it would take. And I hung up the phone and looked at Amanda and went, holy moly, it worked. Where in the world are we going to get that much money? We figured it out, and we signed the contract and own a piece now. And I was like, wow, that was crazy.
That's
and
awesome.
Then we looked at it from another placement and went, ooh, and another opportunity in the same space. And I asked a bunch of people, what's the thing that no one wants to do in this space? And they told me. And I said, okay, I want to do that. And they all looked at me a little crazy. They're like, why would you want to do that? We just told you it's the hardest thing that no one wants to do. And I said, because if I was one of the best in the world at that, what could I do in this industry? Who could I work with? And they said, anybody. You could do anything in this industry if you could do that. I said, exactly. That's the keys to the whole industry right there, is being good at what everyone else hates to do.
That is so good. Oh, we lost Amanda. She'll come back. Wow, that is such a great way to think about that, about running towards something nobody else wants. On that note, I'd be remiss if I didn't let people know how you all work with people, because I'm going to tell you, Jairek, is in this day and age, there are so many people out there that we really shouldn't be taking advice from. There's so many people on the internet now. When Amanda was talking about, people.
Hey, I'm not going to name who they are, but if you
I'm
want
not
to.
either. No. So I'd rather say I've got somebody great here. I've got you and Amanda, who I personally know you are the real deal. You live a balanced life, which is so important. You're not all just, math and success. You also live a healthy lifestyle. You give back. You're philanthropists, humanitarians. You have all the goods. And I always say, take advice from people who are where you want to be. But I have you all here, and I'd love for you to take a moment to, and I'll just put her off until she comes back. I can see when she comes back. Oh, yeah, there she is. Okay, she's so beautiful.
Sorry.
There she is. Okay.
Sorry.
So I want to ask you both this question. Since I have you here, and I personally recommend anybody that's listening to my voice right now to lean into you, to work with you, to be able, if they have that opportunity to work with you, to do so, because you will always do people right and do them well. You are amazing. And there are a lot of fakes out there. And unfortunately, I've had to, sweep up a lot of people from bad experiences, people that take their money, and lots of money, and they don't deliver. So there's a lot of hurting entrepreneurs out here. So talk to us now. Is it your Performance Coach University? Who is it for? Who does it help? How can people, because I know you have affordable things. People might be thinking, oh, I could never afford to work with Jairek Robbins and Amanda. My gosh, I'm sure they're out of my price range. Well, one, they need to ask first. I always say you don't know unless you ask. But you have lots of levels. So talk to us now as what you do now to help others. How can they tap in? What are you most excited about to help entrepreneurs in 2024?
Yeah. I mean, if they just go to my website, JarekRobbins.com, and they go to the product section, if they're trying to better their life, just hover over personal performance, and it has an entire path they can take from a $10 book up to Performance Coach University of getting trained on how to guide and lead others through these tools and processes. If they're trying to grow their business as a solopreneur, go to the business growth section, and that has everything between a business incubator, which is for people just in that solopreneurship, trying to master sales and marketing and business accounting and numbers, and it's all covered in that program, all the way up to our board, which is when we do, it's a fee, but we also take rev share and some equity in the company, and then we grow them. At a board level, our best result in the last couple of years has been a female-run consulting firm that we've helped grow 2,600%. They went from leaving corporate America saying we were just going to have kind of a side gig, and we helped them put the right things in place that now they've become an industry leader in what they do. They absolutely dominate their space. And they always give us lots of credit, but they did the work. We were just able to show them the right things to do at the right time and let them go to work on it and make it happen.
That's so important, Jairek, because you were saying we can be busy or we can be productive and moving forward. So at AFSOC, I can absolutely see her giving you lots of the credit because you make a difference. Doing the right things makes all the difference.
Yeah.
So JarekRobbins.com, I've got that. Amanda, what say you? What do you have going on right now that's exciting, that helps entrepreneurs, that you're especially excited about, that give us all hope?
So like Jairek said, everything that we offer is on his site. And I mean, we're partners in this. I support him in all the things. So it's
she's the brains. I'm the good looks.
She's good looks.
I'm just kidding. She's the good looks.
You guys are such a great team.
She's the brains and the good looks. I'm just the muscle, I guess.
I'm so grateful for you. You know what's so funny is sometimes at events, like back in the day, people would see me and they would see him and then they look over at me and be like, "Oh, are you his assistant? Can you take a picture for us?" I was like, yes, I am.
And now
lo and behold, though, I'm actually very much in this with him. So no, it's been so fun. I'm so grateful. I mean, I feel very fortunate to have found like a life partner, the love of my life, who's been so fun to grow and build all of this. I mean, he definitely, like, Performance Coach University is really his body of work. And I've just been able to learn and grow with him through that and from him as well, and share that with the world because I have a training background and I have this love for helping people and serving and coaching. So that's a beautiful place for people that want to become a coach or grow a coaching business. Phenomenal. The support in there.
Do they become coaches for you, for the Jairek Robbins community, or they become their own coach?
They become their own coach on their own or within their organization. Sometimes we do hire those coaches or refer coaching clients, but that's not something that we promise to people by any means. But it is there if you want to learn coaching skills, really incredible coaching skills, become a coach, start a coaching business, or coach within your current organization.
We did something important because I saw a lot of coaching programs that were out there, and I'll go from the top. One, that were not accredited. And, you know, I heard every excuse or theory or story under the world of like, oh, it doesn't really matter. Do you really need some guy in Kentucky who runs the ICF to tell you that you're legit or not? And I used to go along with that. And then I remember my wife about a year and a half ago looked at me and she's like, you know, the only thing keeping you from getting us fully accredited is your ego. Excuse me? What do you mean? And she's like, well, you believe in being a lifetime student. You believe in always learning and growing. You believe in always up-leveling your skills. You practice this in every other category of your life, but for some reason you've been doing this for 22 years and you've decided not to apply that concept here. Mm-hmm. And she's like, well, if you're not going to do it, I'll do it. And she signed herself up for a course and started doing it. And then I was like, wow, she's right. That is the only thing slowing me down. And I set my ego aside and I signed up behind her. I was one course behind her, but I finally caught up and we both graduated recently, level 1 and level 2. We've both filed all of our stuff to get our ICF compliance to be level 1 and level 2 accredited coaches. So that our whole, it's the International Coaching Federation.
Gotcha.
And so that's what accredits the coaching bodies, them and the board certified. We're both ICF and BCC fully accredited, and we're working on level 2 for the whole program. So when people graduate from us, they also get accredited there.
Wow.
And people say, why is that important?
Yeah.
I said, well, if I was going to fly on a Boeing airplane nowadays, I kind of hope there's an outside accredited body that comes and takes a peek at it before it lets that thing out of the maintenance shop. Because there's been this weird streak of wheels falling off, doors falling off, the plane malfunctioning, not landing properly. Shoot, Why should I trust the people who are work at that airline to do it right? I want a second set of eyes on this thing to make sure that even though with their best effort and good intentions, that someone still double checked it before it went out the door. That's what I consider the ICF and BCC. They're that second set of eyes that someone's willing to say, hey, I put my best effort into this. Will you take a peek from an outside perspective and tell me if the doors are on right, if the wheels are really attached properly?
And that's really there's all these people getting not good coaching. It's wasting a lot of money on people that aren't delivering properly or well. So that's a really good point.
So that's level one. Make sure the wheels are on properly. Is it accredited? Level two is once you have the coaching skills, I've noticed there's a lot of coaches being trained and then they're not getting any clients. I was like, well, that's not going to work. You can't have this life-changing skill set. I mean, it'll transform your life doing it. It'll transform your family and your community. But if you want any sort of, chance at having a business around this, I learned most coaches don't know business. I learned that from experience. I didn't know business worth beans.
I didn't either.
And I said, hey, what if I could take all of our business programs and plug our coaches after they get done being certified, plug them directly into our business programs and teach them business? And I was like, that would make sense because now they have the skill set. Now we'll get them their business up and running properly and moving in the right direction. And then I noticed something. People who have a booming business, so now they have a business, they're making money, they have clients, they're busier than ever. And I noticed there's a trend of business people. Once things are really working, the three things at risk are either a heart attack, divorce, or bankruptcy. Meaning they make a ton of money, but they spend all of it and don't have any saved or invested. And remember, it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep and how well you invest it and grow it. So have they managed their wealth properly? Their relationships, people end up working so much, like you said, they're not balanced whatsoever. They come back home and they walk in the front door after a big business trip and have a stack of papers for divorce. That's not winning.
Mm-hmm.
Or their relationship's great, their business is better than ever, and they go to the doctor and can't figure out why they got this weird feeling in their chest and find out they're half dead.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not winning either. Death is not success.
No.
And so I looked at that and I was like, well, we have a different program we have that focuses on health, wealth, and relationships. And I said, okay, let's create a whole client path. Let's train them so they have the right tools, support them in growing their business, and then let's put them into the core four so we can keep their health, wealth, and relationships fully thriving. We looked at that whole thing, and I remember I told a lady a few weeks ago about this, and she was like, wow, that makes sense. She's like, I want to do it, but I'm going to do the certification, but how much for the whole package, like all of it, the rest of it that you talked about? And I was like, well, right now we're including all of that when people sign up for just the certification. And she was like, excuse me? And I was like, yeah, it's like $27,000 worth of stuff, and we put it together so that someone can get it just signing up for the certification.
Wow.
And she was speechless. She's like, that's phenomenal. I've never seen anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, we wanted to really support our people to make sure they're the best in the world at what they do. And not only are they challenged to grow as individuals and new coaches and business owners, but they're supported properly to make sure they actually get the results they really want out of this.
That's longevity success for both of you too. I know you guys' heart is always in the right place. You so want to help, and you do help so many people. And when you work like that, people are more shocked because they're so used to being treated the other way. People asking for the 50,000, the 30,000, and you getting like, what is this? And then being dropped and left and just so confused. I see people drop out so much because of that. So that's why I'm so glad to have you here. And I want everybody to at least know you. Go to their website, go to JarekRobbins.com, take a lot from them, because I promise you, everybody listening, watching, they're the real deal and your life will be better. Watch them live on Instagram and Facebook. They're there. I got so much out of your live y'all did. Just that pit stop. The value of a good pit stop crew was amazing. Amanda, go ahead. I know you want to chime in. We've got about 4 minutes left. I want to give you the microphone.
Thank you. I again, everything is there regarding pit stops and just really supporting someone to be the best version of themselves, how they show up and in business, how they show up in their relationships, how well their health is, how their wealth is, not just from their time, but their not just their money, but their time and freedom, right? So, sorry. Anyways, we do have a brilliant, I'm really proud of this. Jarek's rolled out, it's called the Core 4 Challenge. It's a brilliant coaching program with training and support. And that is at a very, mostly very accessible price for a lot of people. Whereas before, getting a coach or getting coaching could be like thousands of dollars sometimes per month. And so this is a program that if you reach out, we have a really special, we can offer the people listening a special discount that come through here. But the Core 4 Challenge is a really beautiful place too if they're looking for just support. Your psychology around how you show up in any area of life, whether it's business, your relationships, your health, or your wealth, is so important. And so we not only work on your psychology there, but we also teach a lot of really great strategies and tactics so that you can thrive in each one of those categories. Like Jairek said, a lot of times people will go so full tilt in one category of life and they'll completely lose track of their health. Like how many women have we heard of that have tried to climb a mountain, build a business, be a mom, be a wife, totally burnt themselves out, found themselves on the floor of their office, and and totally burned their adrenals out. And now we're paying back now what they've earned. They're now using that money to buy back their health. And so this program is loaded with not only like great support and great resources to help you thrive in all categories of life, but also, or the Core 4, as we say, but also it's loaded with a really great community to support you as well. And there's coaching in there as well. So if there's ever any stucks or anything, I think the power of community and coaching together is, honestly, it's something I wish I had so much earlier in my career in life, because I just know how I see the results. I see like it shouldn't take us this long before we're willing and able to invest in ourselves to become the best version of ourselves, instead of just go full in on one area and completely neglect other areas and end up paying for it in the end. So that's a really great place to connect with us both as well. It's loaded with coaches and entrepreneurs and leaders. It's a phenomenal group.
So everybody go to JarekRobbins.com. It's on the screen. It'll be in the descriptions. Thank you both so much for being here. I could talk to you all day, but I know the time is done to be here, but you are the real deal. Thank you for helping us all thrive through life and not just survive. You both are absolutely amazing, a wonderful team, and I will keep on following and watching you. And I'm going to go over to your website today too, because I think I want to tap in a little deeper as well. Thank you, Jairek. Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, thank you for being here. Bye, everyone. This is Aurea McGarry from Get Celebritized. Go out there and earn more, live more, give more. And now you've got Jairek and Amanda Robbins to help you thrive more. Thank you again. Bye for now. Bye.